Good day, everyone. Neophyte DAG bringing you another message. And this message is called the Laws/Commandments and Statutes of Allah Jah Most High. And in this message, I'm going to explain to you in detail what exactly are the laws of God and what are the statutes of God. And a law is also called a commandment, and the statutes are also called rules. So you'll hear the Bible use those words interchangeably. But you need to know what those laws are, what exactly are they, and what those statutes are. Because if you're not following those laws and statutes, you are in sin. So how will you know if you're in sin if you don't know the laws that you're not following? So you would need to know these laws and make an assessment of your own life to see if you're following the laws or if you're not following the laws, if you're following the statutes or you're not following it. Now, there are 12 laws and 2 statutes. And immediately what should be going off in your mind is, I thought there were 10 commandments, there are 10 laws. How did we now get to 12? And what I'm going to show you in this message is that those 10 commandments are really 2 laws out of the 12 that were stripped out and given to you as the full list of all of the laws of God. But in fact, they're not. There are 12 laws in total. 7 of those 12 deals with the spirit man and spirit woman. And there are 5 that deals with the physical man, physical woman. And then the 2 statutes deals with both the physical man, physical woman, and the spirit man and spirit woman. And what those 12 laws and 2 statutes are supposed to do is form the perfect union between the spiritual man and woman and the physical man and woman, so that once that union is formed, you can achieve and receive all the benefits of being that direct image and likeness of God. Now, of the 12, 7 of the laws are what we call the Hermetic principles, which I term as the Thoth principle, because Thoth his name was changed to Hermes when the Greeks took over Egypt, and then from Hermes they derived Hermetic laws, but it's really Thoth, the Lord, who's in the Bible as the Lord, his laws as given to us by the Most High. He's reinterpreting those laws for us to tell us that we need to abide by those laws in order to be within the laws of God. And then the other 5 deals with what we call the cross philosophy. And the cross is really you. You are the cross. If you stand feet together, extend your arms out, you form a cross. So the law is talking about you and how you as a physical being should follow those laws, totaling 12. And when you go through the Bible, you'll see a lot of 12s being used. And the laws are used in particular as the manner of fruit of the tree of life. And I'll explain that more as we go through the message. Now, there are 2 statutes. These we have heard many, many times. But again, we'll go through it just to give you a flavor as to what exactly are they. Do not worship idols, graven images. Graven images are any images made from wood or stone, or worship any molten image. When you see molten, it means you make it from metal by heating up the metal and forming a shape of an image of whatever it is you're worshiping. But what the statute says, the first one says none of that worshiping. Whether a statue that you build, a picture that you make, whatever, put on your wall, and we'll go some more into that. The second statute says honor and keep the Sabbath day as a holy day. The Sabbath day should be a day of rest from all work. So let's talk about the 12 manner of fruits and of the tree of life. In Revelation 22:2, it makes mention of the tree of life, which bear 12 manner of fruits, and that is where the 12 law comes in. that if you follow these 12 laws, then you are going to give yourself access to the tree of life, meaning everything that you want, everything that's available to you, presented to you by the Most High, the energies, the oil, all the abundance of the earth will be given unto you if you follow these 12 manner of fruits, meaning the 12 laws. And that's essentially what that is representing when it says a tree of life is the abundance of life that's given to you, magnetic energy, etheric energy, all the fruits of the earth that it has to give to you. And then following those laws will help you to get those things. Another mention of the tree of life and the fruits, Proverbs 11:30, the fruit of the righteous, meaning the righteous, someone who does right, who follows the laws of God, is the tree of life. So it's telling you again, if you take on those 12 manner of fruits, you shall be righteous and you shall gain the tree of life, meaning all the things that you need in your life, you'll be able to manifest those things once you eat of the 12 fruits, once you follow the 12 laws. And then in the pseudepigrapha of the Old Testament, this was pulled out of the Old Testament. These, some of the verses that I'll be quoting, you'll say, wow, where are those coming from? But these are part of the pseudepigrapha of the Old Testament. They were pulled out of the Bible, your conventional Bible that you know of, because they tell too much. And it wasn't time for you to get those truths, because it would have set you free much sooner than you were expected to be set free. So they were stripped out. But 2 Ezra 2 verse 12, then it talks about the tree of life. We already established what the tree of life is. This is reaffirming. It shall give them, whoever who has access to the tree of life, fragrance of perfume. All these sweet things will come into your life, and they shall neither toil, meaning you're not going to have to do any work, because again, you're following those laws, and it will manifest all those things onto you, and you shall not become weary, you shall not become tired or working hard and stressing out yourself, because you'll have access to the tree of life. And how does it tell you that you're going to get these access? Where it says now, the Lord have consecrated, meaning have blessed you and prepared for you 12 trees loaded with various fruits. Again, the 12 manner of fruits are given unto you so you can bear the tree of life. Follow those 12 laws. The tree of life will be presented to you, and make sure you don't have to toil or become weary of your life. Now I'll start with the 5 divine laws, because these are the ones that affect us day to day. And a lot of this has been put in front of us throughout our lives, but we just didn't understand where they're coming from and what do they mean. And I'm going to dig into this, because the 10 commandments that all of us are so familiar with, because it's been beaten into us, is buried into the 5 divine laws. And I'll give you examples of how those are presented to you. So in looking at the 5 divine laws, we'll read from Genesis 1, verse 28 and 29. And keep in mind that the 12 laws of God are in Genesis 1. They're put in the first page so you can see what are all the laws on the first page of the book of the Bible, without having to dig all the way into the Bible to know what they are. They were put on the first page. It's just they were not described to us in that manner where we can pull them out. So in looking at the 5 divine laws, let's look at verse 28 of Genesis 1. And God blessed them. He blessed man and woman, his spiritual creation that he just made. And that is the head, the moral, to know that love God, love yourself, and love your fellow man and woman equally as you love God and yourself. And it says now, be fruitful. Everything that is going to give you your economics, your wealth in life, comes from the earth. So you have to be fruitful with that in terms of generating, replenishing the earth so you can have all those fruits available at all times. And then multiply. Multiply meaning it's your social. You're going to bring together like-minded righteous people to make like-minded righteous decisions. Multiply doesn't mean go out and have a whole bunch of kids. As we have been explained many, many times, that it represents that. No, it does not. It's your social, all the like-minded people that you're pulling in that have one common cause, and that is to have righteousness, do things rightfully, do things by the laws of God. Then it says, subdue the earth, everything that's around on the earth, subdue it. Subdue means it's your political, have control over it. So these righteous people that are socially together as one, who have morals in God and who's using the earth to build their economics, are now going to pass just and rightful laws that will govern everyone fairly. That's what Genesis 28 means. And now when you look at 29, it talks about the food that you eat. Now, let's go through the head, the feet, the left hand, the right hand. The head, moral, feet, economics, your left hand, social, your right hand, political. Now let's connect that cross right in the stomach area. The stomach is technically in your chest area. It's not down by your abdomen. Your stomach is in your chest. If you look at the biological, diagram of a person, a human being, you'll see that. So connecting the arms, the head, and the feet is the stomach. That means you now have to follow the laws of what you put in your stomach. What Genesis 1:29 says, I have given you every herb bearing seeds and every trees, and it shall be fruits for you, and it shall be your meat. Meaning you need to have a vegetarian diet, and you need to consume fruits in order to make sure that you're part of this 5 divine laws. You can go off and eat all other stuff that you want, that you think you should be eating. But if you want to be this creation that God has made you from Genesis 27, where he created man and woman in his own image, if you want to maintain that image, right after he told you about the creation, he told you about the food. He didn't tell you later on, when during different times now, when you have moved away from that image and started to eat a non-vegetarian diet. He's telling you right as he creates you, this is what you should eat. So if you want to move back to your true creation in the image of God, then you have no choice but to follow Genesis 1, verse 29. A vegetarian diet and fruits shall be your meat. So let's dig down into the 5 divine laws a little bit more. Again, as I said, you are the body. You are the embodiment of the cross. The cross is you, so you can know to pick up yourself, take up yourself daily, and carry that cross with you, which is yourself. Carry yourself into the laws of God. And we just went through this. We described the head, the feet, the right hand, the left hand, and the stomach. Now let's talk about the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments covers the head and the left hand. And I'll describe how that works. Now, with the left hand, that's your social, meaning everything social comes from the left hand, that represented by the left hand. Now, when you get married, what hand is the married ring placed on? It's placed on the left hand. So we have been given those principles indirectly without anyone properly explaining it to us. There is no coincidence it goes on your left hand. The ones who know these rules have already set it up where you're going to be following only the portion that you need that will not free you to what the true laws are so you can eat of that tree of life. But you were given some indications of it, so you can send out that energy, and someone else is harnessing that energy who has a knowledge of what that energy represents. So you were told, put the ring on the left hand, and you're married. That's your social, because you're married. Here's a social gathering. You're going to get married. You're going to have more children. That's going to be part of that union. That's social. Then when you go to a court of law and they're asking you to swear that you're telling the truth, nothing else but the truth, which hand do you put up? Your right hand. So that's your political hand. When you're swearing allegiance to the flag or to the country, or if you're a naturalized citizen, when they're asking you to swear to the states, which hand do you hold up? You're holding up the right hand. That is your political hand. So you have been practicing it, but you didn't know where you're sending your energy or why you're sending your energy with the right hand. But someone who knew it would actually let you do it and harness that energy from what you're doing based on your lack of knowledge for knowing what you're doing. And so coming back now to the 10 Commandments, we'll see that it tells you, yes, love God, love yourself, love your neighbors, and and multiply your social gatherings, so on and so forth. But it is missing the feet, the right hand, and the stomach. So that's what it's missing from. Was it purposely, taken out of what was given to you as a 10 Commandment? Obviously it is, or it was, because without the political, without the feet, which is your economics, without proper diet, you will never attain that tree of life. Because first of all, you have no economics, so meaning you have no, financial, wealth within the economy that you live in. So someone else is going to have to provide jobs and things, social assistance for you. So you'll always be on the tail side of it. Now, you're not, if someone else is making your political laws, that's even worse, because they're going to make laws which does not benefit you, but benefit themselves. So without your economics, without your financial wealth to support your own people of like-minded, righteous people of like-minded, and if you can't make laws which is going to affect your people, to beneficially affect your people, then you're going to be on the tail, because someone else will be providing your finances, someone else will be providing political laws that are working against you, and you will be the tail for a long time. That has occurred. And then on top of it off, you were given the wrong food to eat, which is going to keep you away from your image that you were made in of Allah, God the Most High. So you will be in a detriment by missing those other 3 laws. It won't be for long. That is about to change. But I now have to present it to you so you can walk into the 5 laws and know exactly what they are and how they have been used against you, and now how you can use them for your benefit to change what has already been set up. Now you'll see the Egyptian Ankh all over the internet, and you will see a lot of it, on ancient Egypt arts that are drawn on the wall and pictures and so on and so forth. But what that represents is the Ankh is the representation, the symbol for the 5 divine laws. And when you look at the Egyptian paintings, you'll always see, someone in the painting holding that Ankh in their hand. And you'll wonder why they're holding it, but I'll explain it to you in a minute. But for this slide, these are all the various verses in the Bible that I've scattered all over this diagram, which talks about different areas of the 5 divine laws, and it's telling you follow these, this is that, this is that. So when you get some time, go through it and see how these verses are talking about the 5 divine laws, so you can get a better picture as to how they're scattered around the Bible but still telling you the same thing. Now, pick up your cross daily and follow the laws, the 5 divine laws. What is it saying? Take up yourself daily and follow these laws. Because if you want the tree of life, which is all the blessings in your life, then you need to tie yourself to God's law and not man's representation of what the laws are. And it tells you in 1 Corinthians 1 verse 18, for the preaching of the cross is to them that perish foolishness, but unto which you are saved, it is the power of God. That's the literal. What is the deep spiritual meaning saying? For the preaching of the 5 divine law, the cross, which is you, is to them that perish, meaning those who have no Christ consciousness. It's going to be regarded as foolishness. But unto those who have been awakened, the sons of God, the ones who are now coming into this new thinking that there's something wrong and I need to change it now, it is going to be the power of God to them. That's where they're going to realize that they're in the image and likeness of God and Spirit of God if they follow his laws, which is the cross. You are the cross. And to confirm that you are the cross, in Luke 9 verse 23, the initiate who's writing as Jesus is giving this statement in Luke 9 verse 23 said, and he said to them all, and this is Jesus who's being represented as saying this to the people, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. What does that mean? A deeper spiritual meaning. And when he say them, this is representing the children of Israel, the true children of Israel, the people of dark skin complexion, who are descendants of the 12 tribes of Abraham. And he says, if any male or female, man or woman, will come after me, seek my philosophy, the cross philosophy, let him or her first deny themselves. How do you do that? Get rid of your old thoughts or your old Christian belief and take up, meaning practice, live by his 5 divine laws daily and obey God's laws. So you have to first go seek that philosophy. Go find out. Now it has been given to you. Then now you have to rub out what you have already known about what the laws are, because they were not the complete picture. That was just given to you to hold you in bondage. And then you have to take up, practice, live by the 5 divine laws daily and obey them. And then Luke 14:27 says, and whosoever doth not bear his or her cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. It's clearly telling you, you have to pick up yourself, your cross, the 5 laws daily, if you're going to be called a disciple of Christ or a disciple of the Most High. You cannot be a disciple and not following his law. You have to follow the laws and then become a part of what he would call a Christ yourself. So you have to pick up your cross daily yourself, take up yourself daily and follow those laws. Now we'll talk about the 7 laws of Thoth, the 7 laws of God. And again, they're referred to as the Hermetic laws, but Hermes is really Thoth. His name changed during the Greek rule of Egypt. And these are what they are. The 7 First one, mentalism. Second one, correspondence. Third one, vibration. Fourth, polarity. Fifth, rhythm. Sixth, cause and effect. Seventh, gender. And I'll do a brief explanation of each. Mentalism, that which is really everything is from the mind. Your mind creates everything. It creates good, it creates bad. But everything starts in the mind. It's mental. You think it, it can happen, and it will happen. But we have spent most of our time creating thoughts of darkness, thoughts of negative things, and not using our same thinking power to create positive things and get those into our lives to make our lives better. But everything starts with the mind. The second one is correspondence. As above, so below. That means whatever occurs on a higher dimension will occur on a lower dimension, but the higher dimension is of a stronger law that will always overpower the lower dimension of the same law. So you create your thoughts on a higher level, it will outdo the thoughts on a lower level. So you always want to keep your thoughts of a higher level, a higher vibration. What this also means is as above, so below. If something happens up above, it's going to happen down below. However, you have to apply other laws to keep yourself always within the light portion of the law of correspondence and not in the darkness portion, which is the more than likely the below. Now, vibration, everything vibrates. You are a vibrating being. You're always vibrating. Things are always moving. The energy is always moving within your body. The magnetism, the etheric, they're always moving within you. Now you have to know how to channel them to raise the vibration level within yourself and keep that vibration level high. Polarity. Everything has two poles, a positive and a negative, a masculine and a feminine. And you have to know how to arrange those polarities so you stay within a polarity of light and very little or no time in a polarity of darkness. And if you're in darkness, to move that polarity to light as best and as quickly as you can. Then we'll look at cause and effect. Whatever cause that you set up, whatever things that you do will have an effect. Nothing happens by accident. There's always a cause that triggers the effect. But it doesn't mean that if you set up a bad cause, you have to have a bad effect. You can change the effect based on, even though you've started out with a bad cause, you can change it into a good. You just have to know that you're going to reattune yourself to create a good result, even though you started out bad. Start bad, it doesn't have to end bad. You can change it. We'll also look at rhythm. Rhythm means everything moves in a cycle. Sometimes you're in a good mood, then that passes and you gradually go into a bad mood, and then that passes, you go into a good mood. And how does this law work? You have to know the rhythm within your life. So when you get into a bad rhythm, to know to skip that bad part and keep your vibration high so you always stay in the good rhythm. Also within that rhythm, it's a cycle of time. Things are going to keep happening, occurring. Everything is in that circle. That circle of cycle. It's there. It's going to keep spinning. So you have to know how to read the signs now within that rhythm and know when things are going to happen, because those signs are put there to give man and woman an indication as to when things are going to occur. You just have to take those signs and use them to make your life much better and more fulfilling. And gender, which is one of the most important of the laws next to mentalism. Gender, everything as a masculine and a feminine pole. We established that from polarity. But what gender does now, gender lets you know that the masculine pole is the energy the power that creates the thinking of what to do. And then the feminine is what actually creates what was thought up. So there are two principles at work here. One is the thinker, the masculine energy, the masculine power, and then the one that creates that idea that was thought up, and that's the feminine energy, the feminine power. And what you want to do within your own life is create your own thoughts, your own original thoughts, and then pass those thoughts on to your feminine energy to now create whatever was thought up. So that's really how it works. But how we generally is given this law is we are given a lot of different things that's going to change or create or take over our I, our masculine energy. It's normally represented as an I, and your feminine is represented as a me. So we're given a lot of things that take over our I, our media, our news, our social, our social medias, our movies, various books and things that are out there that captures your I and puts ideas in there, which takes away your original ideas. And then you using that another person or another medium I go create things with that. So you hand that off to your me, and your me run out and create a whole bunch of havoc with someone else's idea. And that's generally how we live our lives. But if you go back to the true meaning of gender, your I, even if you're taking it from ideas from someone else, you're going to evaluate that, do a critical thinking behind it, make sure it makes sense before you accept it, and then pass it on to your me to go create things with that. So you're controlling everything that comes into your head and everything that goes out based on the creation of what was in your head. So now these 7 laws have to be followed. If you want to keep your physical self perfectly aligned with your spiritual self, you have to follow these 7. And the main 2 are mentalism and gender. Those are your direct connection to God. Genesis 1 verse 27 describes that to you. He created man and woman in his own image, male and female, masculine and feminine. He created man and woman. So he put a gender in you. So those are your direct creative powers that were put in you, so you can create as how the Most High can create and wants you to create. And then once you get your mastery of mentalism and gender, you also want to make sure you're pulling in that polarity, know how to move your energy from positive to negative, keeping it more in the positive side, and then creating good causes and good effects to follow thereafter. And then using these 4 to make sure that you know how to time it within the other 3 laws and keep yourself always in a good or high vibration and working the rhythm and correspondence to know how to keep yourself always in a high vibrational state rather than falling into low vibrations. Well, this is again Genesis 1 verse 27, which tells you that God created man and woman in his own image. His image he created masculine, which is the willer, the thinker of reality, and feminine, which creates that thought that the male thought up. The female goes out and create that thought. And that's where gender comes in. Now, let's look at the Bible, Genesis 1 again, and pull out where all these things are occurring with the 7 laws. Because as I said before, all the laws are on the first page of the Bible. Genesis 1 has all the laws, all 12. I've already gone over the 5. Now I'm going to go through the 7. Now the mind, the mentalism is the mind of God, the spirit of God. That is the mind. It moves upon the face of the water. So in Genesis 1 verse 2, it says the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the water. So his mind is moving, it's resting on it. And then God used his mind, another indication. Genesis 1 verse 3, and God says, let there be light. So he thought it. Didn't actually come out and say it. You don't have to say things verbally and out. You can say it telepathically. So God said telepathically, let there be light. So he used his mind. He thought of it. So let light come. And we'll see what happened later on when he said that. Now correspondence, as above, so below. Genesis 1 verse 27. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. As above, so below. So God made the above and the below. That is correspondence. As above, so below. Now in vibration, that is a frequency. Vibration is always a frequency. That, again, every living organism has a frequency. And in Genesis 1 verse 6, God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the water, and let it divide the waters from the water. So the firmament is creating that vibration that divides waters from the water. What is that saying? It's creating various vibrational frequencies within that water to separate one from the other. So that's where it's telling you vibration. Some vibrations are going to be higher, some vibrations are going to be lower, but it's creating a difference in vibration. Polarity, dual pole. Everything has a dual pole. Genesis 1 verse 4 describes that. And God saw the light, and it was good, one pole, and God divided the light from darkness, which is the other pole. So light, darkness, polarity, two poles. So what God is telling you, keep your polarity in light and take it out of darkness, because he saw there was darkness and he said, let there be light. So that's the instruction that's being given to you. Let there be light. He's separating you from darkness. And he's saying, let there be light. So you have to do the same if you want to remain in the image of God, is to seek light and not darkness. Now rhythm again is signs that there's a good time, there's a bad time. There's a dark time, there's a time of light. There's a time of sun, there's a time of rain. So it keeps going, and that's the rhythm. And there are signs that were presented to man to give him ideas as to what is to come and what has already been. Genesis 1 verse 14 describes that. And God said, let there be light in the firmament of the heaven to divide day from night, polarity again, and let there be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. So that's a rhythm, the flow. Okay, so one season, rainy season, one season, growth season, one season, drought season, and so on. And the days measure that, then the days turn into months, and then the months turn into years, and the years turn into season. It's all a sign. And he put it there for you so you can see those signs and know when they're coming so you can prepare yourselves for them. Cause and effect. We go back to Genesis 1 verse 3, and God said, let there be light. That is the cause. What is the effect? There was light. So a good cause, a good effect. Simply what that is. So now you have to create your good causes so you have good effect, because you created in the image of God. He can create light. You can create light. And what did he create light from? From darkness. He said, let there be light. And you can do the same, because you're in the image and likeness and spirit of God. So you absolutely can do the same. And then the other one, gender. We have gone over gender many times in Genesis 1 verse 27. You're in the image of God, and he created male and female, masculine and feminine, you as a spiritual being. Now let's look at these statutes. In statute number 1, no idol worshiping. What are idols? Yes, pictures you put on your wall, images that you have of, people, beings that you hold as sacred, your altars that you have in your house, worshiping, relatives or whomever, gods, demigods, all kind of things that you put on, on your wall or on altars, or it's in your place of worship or wherever people put it these days, but they're still the same. They're idols. And then once you start carving out in wood those same idols and making statues out of them and putting them in your house or in your neighborhood or in your town hall or wherever, still the same. Same thing if they're made out of metal. Doesn't escape it. They're all idols and images that are not of the law, the statute 1 that's being asked of you, that you need to obey it. And here in Leviticus 26 verse 1, it gives you specific instructions. You shall not make no idols, nor graven images, wood or stone image, neither shall you construct any statues, walls, objects, whatever you want to put up, the image of it. Can't construct any of that. Neither shall you set up any image of stone in your land. Can't have any of these objects, any statutes, whatever, in any of your country, your territory, your region, and then now you're going to bow down and worship unto it. You cannot do that. If you have that Jesus picture on the wall, you cannot have it there, because you shall not set up any image, whether or not they're telling you it's the Son of God. It didn't say here, oh, any image except that one. It says all image, any image, none of it shall be set up. So there's no way out of this rule. It even goes further in Exodus 20 verse 4. Thou shalt not make unto you any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above. So if you're trying to represent Jesus as he is in heaven, this is telling you cannot do that. Or that is in the earth. You cannot worship anything that's in the earth. Any man or woman as yourself, or animals or whatever, you cannot worship it. Or anything that's in the water or under the earth, you cannot worship anything at all. Whether you think it's an angel or the Son of God or the Christ or whatever, you cannot set up any image of it. That is a no-no. It tells you straight up, and it repeats it in Deuteronomy 5 verse 8. You cannot worship any of those images, whether in our more modern technology, whether by picture, you want to set that up. If you want to set up a statue, if you want to set up something in metal or in wood, whatever you want to do, it just can't be done. Statute number 2, honor and keep the Sabbath. The Sabbath is a day of rest. The Sabbath is the day that you shall rest from all your work. 6 days is given unto man and woman to work, and then the 7th day shall be a day of rest from your work. Ezekiel 20 verse 20, and hallow my Sabbath. Hallow means to make respect. Make it holy, respect it. My Sabbath, which is the Lord's 7th day, and they shall be a sign between me and you, that you may know that I am the Lord your God. So it's saying, respect this day, the Sabbath day. Use it as a sign, our connection, our communication point between you and me, because the Sabbath was given to a peculiar people. And those peculiar people are the children of Israel, which are dark-skinned, what we term in modern day as black, but we'll cover that black in another message. But these are the dark-skinned Jew people, the true descendants, the bloodline of Abraham and the 12 tribes. It was given to them and them only as a day that they should make holy and a day to connect with God, with the law, and be merry and enjoy that day as well. And Jubilee 2 verse 21 explains that again. So you shall enjoy this day to keep the Sabbath with us on the seventh day of that's the day you dedicate to the Lord, and you eat, drink, and be blessful unto the Lord and God that day. Jubilee 2 again, verse 25 through 31 takes you through in more detail what the Sabbath is and the workings around it. And I'll read a few little snippets that I highlighted in red and green. And the first one says, and he, who is he? That's God, the Most High, commanded concerning the Sabbath, let everyone who will work on this day therein shall die. Not only so much of the physical, but the spiritual blessing that comes with it. You'll die from, that will leave you. Because again, you're not following this law, which is very important. This is the day that you need to reconnect yourself with God, and you're skipping that day. So spiritually, eventually you'll die on that day. And once you have that spiritual death, the physical death will follow shortly thereafter. And then in verse 26, and God command the children of Israel. He didn't say command everybody. He command the children of Israel and let them guard this day. They might sanctify it, bless it, keep it as a sacred day, and not do any work. Not defile it, because it is the day that is more holy than any day. So this is the holiest day. So you are missing out on this day if you don't make yourself available and bring your energy to attune to this day. You're doing a disservice to yourself. And that's why this day was changed during the Romans' time from Saturday to Sunday. So you are coming one day late after the day of blessing has already passed. So you will not be getting any of the blessing. It missed you. And it will keep missing you until you realign yourself with that day to know that that's a day where the blessings are being poured out, and you should calm yourself down and attune yourself to it. Then in verse 31, it says the Creator blessed this day. He blessed it, but he did not sanctify any people or nation to keep the Sabbath, with the sole exception of Israel. So again, if you know that you are a child of Israel, you fit that description, you're a person, a dark-skinned person, then this day is for you. You get the exception to sanctify this day. It's not for anybody else but you. So you want to tie yourself into this day so you get the blessing that's being poured out on this day for the children of Israel. Because all the heavenly beings have dedicated this day as their day to sanctify and to bless the Most High. And this has been passed down to earth for you in the physical body to do the same and to pour in that blessing so you can connect your spiritual self more with the Most High. But you're not doing it, and you're dedicating your energy on another day, and you're totally missing the mark. Now, we've gone through all 12 laws and the 2 statutes, and I want to take a quick minute to explain what is sin, because we've heard this word thrown around so frequently. Sometimes we get nervous about whether we're in sin or whether we're not. But essentially what sin is, it's your unbalance or lack of harmony with the laws of God, lack of following those laws and actually now putting them in practice. So you take the 12 laws that I've given you and the 2 statutes, and you put those in practice, and then there is no sin on you, because the only sin that you can have is that you're unbalanced in the harmony, the laws of God. You might hear otherwise, but I'll challenge anyone who says otherwise to deny what the Most High has presented to you as his laws, and then if you're not following it, then you're in sin with God's laws. What I've done here to wrap things up, I've put together checklists of the 7 laws, the 5 divine laws, and the 2 statutes of things that needed to be a part of your life to see if you are practicing God's laws or if you're not. And if you're not, then to know, be truthful to yourself in going through this checklist so you can know where you're not following, and then change your answers from a no to a yes over time, from getting back in line with these laws. So the 7 here, those cover the 7 laws of Thoth, the 7 hermetic principles. And go through the questionnaire, be truthful, and see where you're a yes or a no, and your overall objective over time in working on yourself, because the time now is critical for you to work on yourself in making sure that your answers become yes. Same is true for the 5 laws. Go through the 5 divine laws, the cross philosophy. Answer truthfully, because these are some of the questions that will let you challenge yourself to be truthful to yourself and say, yes, I'm following those laws and I'm practicing those laws, or no, I'm not, and I need to change it now and get in line with following and practicing those laws. You have to take up yourself daily and follow the cross philosophy, and then move into your spiritual life to follow the 7 hermetic, the 7 laws of God, the 7 laws of Thoth. Same thing is true for the 2 statutes, going through the questionnaire and looking at the, some of the things that I've put together, which directly ties into the Bible way of saying, these are how you can be a part of these 2 statutes. And if you're not a part of how you should align yourself with the 2 statutes, then you need to make that change so your answers are no longer no to yes. What you want to do is make sure on these questionnaires your answers are yes, and you understand it and you're practicing it. So I'm challenging you now. If you don't understand some of these things, go out and seek the knowledge, get more understanding, wisdom, that you can now tune yourself to God's laws. This brings us to the end of this message. And what I want to leave with you is that you now have to take up yourself daily and follow the laws of God. If you were not, now this is a time for you to get yourself in line and make sure that you become familiar with these laws. If you're not fully familiar with it, seek some more knowledge on your own and try to understand what the laws are exactly and how you can put them in practice in your daily life. And I want to leave with you this image of the Egyptians as their reminders of how they need to pick up their cross daily, which is themselves. It's represented by the ankh, which they will carry to demonstrate that they need to follow the 5 divine laws and to tie themselves with their spiritual laws in order to reap the tree of life. So the 12 manner of fruits will always bear you the tree of life, which are the best and the abundance in life. Now, with that said, I want to wish you a pleasant day and continued blessings, and just keep working on yourself. Have a wonderful day.